Manchester City have signed Omar Marmoush, Erling Haaland has signed a new 9.5-year contract, and Khvicha Kvaratskhelia has officially signed for PSG. All of that and much more in today's Football Fix. If you enjoy the video, subscribe for more. Jamal Musiala is set to sign a contract extension with FC Bayern Munich. Apparently, it was never in doubt, as was reported by reliable German media, such as Plettigol on X, and he will extend, but it will have a release clause in the contract. Negotiations between Bayern and Musiala have advanced, but the deal is not fully done yet, as there is no agreement on the exact salary. However, a release clause with various tiers will be included, but the exact amounts have not yet been finalised. Still, very positive atmosphere between all parties involved, and a total agreement is expected by the end of January. Khvicha Kvaratskhelia has signed for Paris Saint Germain. This deal has been reported the last few days and week or so, but it rapidly progressed, and he is now officially a PSG player, signing on a roughly €70 million deal from Napoli this January. He has signed a 5-year contract all the way up until June of 2029. This is a massive signing for PSG as they try and build this new generation of players after going for their Galactico-esque signings in the past, and now Napoli are looking for replacements, with their number one target being Alejandro Garnacho. Reportedly had a £40 million bid turned down, and it would cost them roughly £60 million if they were to bring him in this Jan. AC Milan are advancing to the final stages of a deal for Kyle Walker from Manchester City. More contracts are planned to complete the agreement on personal terms with Kyle Walker and his camp until the summer of 2027, so a 2.5-year deal if he signs in this January window. As reported a few days ago by Fabrizio Romano, Walker is keen on the move to AC Milan. Negotiations are underway, and he would much prefer a move to a European club rather than a Saudi team, and he reportedly turned down a massive weekly wage from a Saudi club in order to stay in Europe and try and keep his place in the England squad. Everton are 100% clear of all PSR charges. There was a final element of the Premier League looking at Everton in terms of profitability and sustainability charges for the period that was ending the season 22 to 23, and it has all been officially discontinued. This means that any and all outstanding PSR charges brought by the Premier League in relation to Everton are now resolved, and they are fully compliant as it stands in 2024. Chelsea have made more inquiries for forward players. This time they are looking at Alejandro Garnacho in a massive move that would be cross-Premier League moving, and Bino Gittins, Jamie, the winger from Borussia Dortmund. Both of these wingers are among multiple options of interest to Chelsea, reports David Ornstein, for a potential signing in wide attacking areas, because apparently they don't have enough of those. Conversations are at an early stage, but both 20-year-olds are reportedly under consideration for Chelsea. And speaking of Jamie Bino Gittins, he also remains a top transfer target for Bayern Munich in the summer rather than January. Bayern have already held talks with his management as they aim to sign at least one top winger. This was revealed exclusively by Plettigol in December, and if Dortmund fail to qualify for the Champions League, then his departure looks like it will be very, very likely. Bayern Munich are aware of it, and also Manchester United are seriously interested. Ronald Araujo's January has been a very interesting one, and he is now set to sign a new deal at Barcelona. He has agreed in principle a new contract at Barca. Positive talks took place between the player and Barca's director Deco, who was fully involved in the whole process, and the formal contract deals are to be discussed in the next couple of days. This comes after a massive U-turn where it looked like Araujo was set to leave the club at a minimum of a loan, looking like he was going to go to Juventus over in the Serie A. However, an injury to Inigo Martinez and talks with the directors of Barcelona mean that Ronald Araujo looks set to have changed his mind. A small update on Manchester City's 115 or 130 charges against them. Some people who are aware of the situation of the charges and know details of the case say that Manchester City believe that the club will not be punished with anything more than a fine. This could be a big fine for the club. However, reports of relegation, a big points deduction, and transfer bans are reportedly wide of the mark, and the verdict is expected in March. And speaking of Manchester City, Erling Haaland has signed a new monster deal with the club. The biggest contract in Premier League history. The Norwegian striker becomes the first player to earn in excess of 500 grand a week, and he will get even more than that with bonuses and image rights. And more incredibly than that, the contract will run for 9.5 years. So this is the biggest deal that we've seen in the Prem and one of the biggest sports deals in the world, even with some of the crazy contracts you see in the MLB and other American sports. One interesting point is that in his previous contract, he did have release clauses that were set to activate. They have been removed, and instead, different clauses have been activated for Haaland. These only are valid halfway through his contract, though, and so any release clause that is reportedly anywhere between 200 and 250 million pounds will not be activated until 2029. So if anyone tries to get Haaland before that, they're going to have to pay even more than that. Crazy contract. Al Ahly in the Saudi League have agreed a deal in principle to appoint Massimiliano Allegri as their new head coach for the new season. This is a massive coup for the Saudi League, as Allegri has been linked with multiple big European team jobs after leaving Juventus and his history over there. He's been linked to Real Madrid if they get rid of Ancelotti in the summer. Some Premier League teams have been heavily touted to be looking at him, but he's off to the Saudi League. The final details will be sorted in the next few days before Fabrizio gives a here we go. And the club plans to appoint the caretaker manager, and then Allegri will be joining in June. And more Saudi League news, as Neymar just cannot catch a break in this league. He will not be registered for the second half of the Saudi Pro League. After suffering the injury, after joining in his first year and missing the vast majority of the season, this second year has not really gone any better. He has hardly played for the club since joining, and because of recurring injury problems, he just isn't fit enough to play. Their manager has said that Ney will not be registered, but he can participate in the Asian Champions League. He's world class, but the truth is, physically, Neymar can no longer perform at the level we are used to. Now, this is interesting because is that what he is talking about in terms of when he arrived at the club, or is he comparing him to Neymar of like Barcelona years? Because if so, he was never going to be that good nowadays, but surely he's still good enough to be playing in the Saudi League, you would assume? And the final story today is that Omar Marmoush is set to sign officially for Manchester City within the next few hours. Eintracht Frankfurt and Man City have reached a verbal agreement for the transfer of the Egyptian forward. The transfer fee is in the region of 80 million euros, but that includes any potential add-ons for Marmoush. Manchester City were looking closer to a 60 mil deal. Frankfurt wanted 80. Looks like they have found a compromise where the fee will be somewhere in between, and then with add-ons of maybe winning the Premier League, Champions League, etc., it could rise up to 80 mil. Eintracht say that the deal is not yet finalised as the crucial documents are still pending, but Marmoush is set to sign a contract until 2029, but has not done his medical as of yet. He was at the game today in their Friday night home game against Borussia Dortmund and bid farewell to everybody and the club after the game. This deal is done. We are just waiting on official announcement from both of these clubs, which should happen at some point over this weekend. That is a monster transfer for Man City alongside their other ones that they are plotting in January. They are going big, especially if you combine it with that Erling Haaland contract situation. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.